Hey everybody, welcome to Lesser Saints of Discord, Serious Saturday number 2,
We don't do these
Nostalgia.
very
How it
often.
informs us. No, we don't.
And
We
I think
don't.
I'm the only one watching. Oh no, it says
God,
4 people.
no.
Never mind.
I'm here
Yep.
too. We've
The
got
dashboard,
one
the
viewer.
dashboard is out of whack.
I know it's titled Nostalgia, but it's less about nostalgia and more like how media forms us and everything. And Lola Bunny is directly responsible for all the furries that we have today. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Have a good night.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay.
Yeah, I just picked a random image with a bunch of like nostalgic TV shows and whatnot. Oh, it also has books and games. Cause you remember Scary Stories? I just realized that that's in here.
Yes. Did you? Guillermo del Toro's making a movie.
Didn't it come out already?
I don't know. I haven't seen anything. I know he was making it. I'm not sure it got fully greenlit.
Hello, Skull. Hello, Display.
How you guys doing?
Welcome to whatever the hell this is going to be.
A shit show. No, but yeah, good stuff. What is going on? Like, I'm looking at this and I'm trying to see how many of these I recognize and how many of them I can name. There are quite a few I recognize, but some of them I'm just like, I know what that is. Why can't I remember it? And why do I suddenly want Surge?
Because Surge is dope, and they still sell it at the gas station in my area.
I was going to say, yeah, like I thought it was Amazon only for a while. And I walked into a fucking gas station in Catskill. I was like, oh my god, what?
It was Amazon only for a while there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But some stores stocked it. You just had to be lucky to find one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surge and Jolt Cola.
See, I'm old enough to remember Jolt when it was in its original formulation, and it would stop your fucking heart.
I was drinking that when I was like 6 or 7.
Yep.
I was just like, oh, it's just a different cola, and that was jacked.
Yep. And a time before energy drinks. There were energy drinks, but we didn't call them energy drinks back in the day. Like in like the early '90s and shit, we called them tonics. There were energy tonics. I know that sounds like some fucking like 1700 snake oil shit. And that's
it was either energy tonics or Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's back in the day when Balls was an energy tonic.
Balls.
BAWLS.
Yep.
It still exists.
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't sell very many places. It's basically for a while there it was only available on Think Geek.
One of my former roommates once asked me, he didn't ask me. He just went. I really like that they put them in blue bottles. And I was like, "You get the joke, right?" And he was like, "No."
Yeah. Here's an interesting thing about my childhood.
What's that?
What the fuck?
I was not allowed to read Goosebumps, but I was allowed to read Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Which is way more traumatizing than Goosebumps.
Holy shit, Balls now has 4 flavors.
Oh wow.
Balls has original, cherry cola, ginger, orange, cherry, and root beer.
Oh.
The reason why I wasn't allowed to read Goosebumps is because the kids in those books were pieces of shit and little brats, and so my mom didn't want that to influence me, so I became a piece of shit.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Same reason why I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons.
Yeah, I literally got 2 books that traumatized me as a kid at a school book fair when I was, in like 4th grade, I want to say. One was Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton, which is infinitely more graphic than the film could ever hope to be.
Oh god, yeah.
The other one was the entire trilogy of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and in like a cool little box set. Both of those purchases, I would later regret. but I love them
Scary
now.
stories to tell in the dark didn't give me nightmares or anything. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it fucked me up. It fucked me up so
Yeah,
bad.
it fucked me up pretty good too. I couldn't I could deal with the stories, but coupled with the artwork, nah.
Yeah, what were the ones that probably got you the most? Artwork or stories?
I remember one with like some ghost chick.
Okay, that's big.
Yeah, I know.
That narrows it down to about 90%.
I haven't opened a scariest stories to tell in the dark book in like 15 years.
I haven't opened one since I originally owned them. That's how much they scarred me. So the two that got me, and I remember the title of the one. No, I actually don't remember the titles, but one was a guy or a woman that was the wife of a local butcher, and she was cheating on him. So the man she was cheating on her husband with, they conspired to kill the husband. So that happened, and then because she's completely evil, she fed her husband's liver to her new lover. And then I guess like the corpse came back from the dead and was like, "Where's my liver?" And
oh yeah, that one. Yeah, that.
And the wife was like, "He's got it." And then you hear the guy scream in the other bed because it's from like way back in the day when people didn't sleep in the same bed. The other one was about was really fucked up. Like looking back on it now, was about a farmer's wife who was heavily abused by her husband, so she killed him and chopped up his body. And one of the things that always stuck with her about the abuse was that he would come home from working in the fields, and like the first thing he would say is like, where the fuck is my dinner? And if it wasn't ready, he would beat the shit out of her. So she's sitting down like having tea or something one night, and a leg falls down the fireplace, and then another leg falls down the fireplace, and then like the lower part of her torso falls down, and then eventually all this guy's chopped up body parts fall down and then reassemble themselves. And this mutilated corpse walks up to the table, pulls out a chair, sits down, and goes, "Where's my dinner?" And that's just the end of it. And that ruined me forever.
Okay, we should probably start talking about less less disturbing shit.
Wait,
yeah, I'm not the one.
I'm looking through the titles of all the stories in each book. Just to remind me. So the girl who stood on a grave, that one fucked with me.
Room for One More is good too.
Yeah, Room for One More, and where was it? The Bride.
Oh, The Bride. Oh. There's also one in there that's literally just like it's not harmless, I want to say, but like it's literally just the perspective of a woman going to her car in a parking lot at night, and there's just a creepy dude. Like nothing happens in it, but it's just a first-person account of the sheer terror that you feel as a woman. I was like, this is marketed at kids. Like holy shit.
Well, preteens and teenagers mostly.
Oh yeah.
How many preteens and teenagers actually read scary stories or Goosebumps?
Literally everyone.
Well.
I meant compared to how many read them for the first time when they were preteens and teenagers.
Well, not me. I literally read Goosebumps as they were coming out. Yeah.
Because my oldest sister got them first because she was the oldest. And so naturally, I read them when I was like 5.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much what I'm saying. Most people got a hold of these when they were little kids. I remember being in elementary school. I was probably 3rd or 4th grade.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was probably like 2nd grade. Holy fuck, this was a long time ago. And I remember it was a big thing. You had to get the Scary Stories book, or you had to get the A Light in the Attic book, and you had to read it.
Yep.
And you had to be traumatized by the Scary Stories book when you were 2. Not literally, I'm exaggerating, of course.
I will follow up on it, and I'll bring it up on another pre-show or something. But there was another book series. It was like 2 or 3 books. They were another compilation of like spooky stories. The artwork in them wasn't as scary as the Scary Stories artwork, but the stories were absolutely horrifying. I can't remember what the hell the series was. I will look it up and I will find it.
Holy shit!
But there's one where they basically do like a monkey paw story, where this kid finds this artifact or whatever, and it's got this like evil spirit in it that will give you anything you wish for. But there's a twist, so you have to be careful about how you word it. And the kid is like, I wish I was the richest kid in all of history. So he literally gets his wish, and like he blacks out, and then he comes to, and he's like sitting behind velvet ropes with all kinds of spotlights on him, and there's all kinds of like school kids and like families and stuff like looking at him being like, ooh and ah, and he's like, wait, what the fuck is going on? And then he realizes that he's like some like Egyptian pharaoh kid that had like amassed the most wealth of any living being in history, and he was just on display in a museum, and he was stuck in that like mummified corpse until the end of time. Like it was horrifying shit to read. As like I was probably like 12 when I read it. It fucked with me. It was 3 short books. They were like little trade paperbacks. I think they were only like, each one was only like 40 pages each, and they all had one picture that went with each story. And the artwork was not scary like the other one, but I'll have to look them up, because like that was a thing in the early 90s, traumatizing kids.
Yeah, I mean, look at Are You Afraid of the Dark? It was...
Yeah, oh my god, Canada, what the fuck?
Thanks for reminding us, Skull.
That's another weird one.
Yeah, thank you,
I was
Skull.
allowed to watch Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah.
Not allowed to watch Goosebumps.
My
mom had really weird shit.
I remember being scared as shit at Are You Afraid of the Dark? And what was that other one where it's... I forget the show's name. I think it was on Nickelodeon.
Was it
the girl and her mom, who her mom was in a traveling band, would go around and they discover all this paranormal shit? Do you remember which one I'm talking about?
That's not ringing a bell, but it sounds kind of like there was a boy version of that called Erie, Indiana.
It was something like that, but there was this... I don't remember if it was an R.L. Stine show, but this girl and her mom would be traveling around the country. Her mom was like a rock singer or something like that, or she played the guitar or something along those lines in a band. And they'd be staying at places, and they'd get this weird supernatural shit going on, but the daughter would be the one who'd be encountering it. God, I don't remember what that was called. But that was another one where it was kind of just like, there were some episodes where it was like, oh, this is fascinating, and then other episodes where I'm like, what the fuck is going on? She's gonna die.
Yeah, Erie, Indiana was pretty good. I think that was Disney. That came out in like 93, 94. It was... I remember it being very of the era of like the early to mid 90s, where every kid had that same like Don Bluth main character haircut, where it was like the bowl cut on top of like an undershave, and then you had like every kid had like baggy blue jeans and a flannel shirt tied around their waist.
I do remember Erie, Indiana. Holy fuck! I had to look up pictures, but holy shit, that was another great one.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably one of the only interesting things to
happen in the state. Hello.
Good afternoon.
When did you get here?
Less than 5 minutes ago.
Well, welcome. Hello.
Anyways.
Yeah, aside from Korn and Michael Jackson, what the fuck comes out of my state, really?
What are you talking about? Korn came out of Portland, and he has a YouTube channel called Jeff Holiday.
That's an old cut.
That's an old meme. For any of our
I
new
missed that
listeners.
meme.
Yep.
By the way,
Jeff used to look exactly like.
free pee poo poo on Twitter.
Oh yes.
Holidays account got banned.
Yeah. That happened last week. It's old news at this point with the breakneck speed at which social media
So
moves,
weird.
Still
That
true.
was so weird. Was the one I was thinking of.
So okay, yeah, okay. I know that. I never watched it. I
vaguely
it.
remember the title.
Yeah.
Well, I literally just put into Google paranormal
about-
TV show where mom is in rock band and daughter encounters ghosts.
How about before we move on to non-spooky stuff from like when we were kids? How about episodes of shows that weren't normally spooky that fucked with you really bad?
Oh,
For me, there was an episode. There was an episode of
every
the show.
TV show had this.
There was an episode of the show Salute Your Shorts, where they told the story of a guy called Zeke the plumber.
I vaguely remember this episode.
Where he was a dude that had like a Michael Myers mask, and he was a plumber that would like plunger your face and suck your guts out like through your mouth with a plunger.
I remember that.
Like, looking back on it, that's fucking ridiculous. At the time, being a kid, you're like, oh my god! Why?
Yeah.
Okay. So, something that kind of fucked me up as a kid, and probably the reason why I ended up doing drugs later in life. Rugrats season 1, episode 1 is a trippy fucking episode where Tommy goes into a total fever dream and it just gets really fucking weird. I didn't realize how weird it was until I was a teenager and I had mushrooms at some point.
Hold on, is that the one where like everything is like all the parents are talking to him in like baby speak and it all comes through as like
shit shit like that happened.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't think it freaked me out, but as a kid I was like, I don't understand.
What the fuck is going on? Turns out Tommy was just sick and he was having a fever dream.
Because his brain was boiling. I get it.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah.
I got to experience that last week.
Oh, yeah. Glad you're feeling better.
Let's see, what other shit is in here that fucking creeped us out?
I don't know. I could talk.
Wasn't there an episode of Saved by the Bell where everyone was systematically murdered?
Yeah, but that was kind of a thing for Halloween episodes at that time. Everyone in the show is gonna get
like a murder mystery.
Yeah. Okay, so like this could go on forever because of the thing that Adam from Your Movie Sucks started last year. Was it last year or the year before? Called Childhood Trauma. Go on YouTube and type in childhood trauma, and you will see you'll fall down an amazing rabbit hole that Adam from Your Movie Sucks started this thing where it's like, was there a show or something from your childhood that unintentionally scarred you for life? And
yeah, that's a
unintentionally.
The one that was a memory that I had like buried, I had completely suppressed it, was the Family Matters episode with the dummy. There's one where like Steve Urkel has like a ventriloquist dummy version of himself. And there are scenes where it's walking around by itself and it's actually just like a little kid wearing a costume to look like the dummy. And it's the most uncanny, horrifying shit. And people get like mutilated and decapitated and like crammed inside the wall.
The family picture.
Yeah, it was fucking horrifying. And I forgot it existed because I had apparently literally like suppressed those memories. Because I think it was like Ralph the Movie Maker or someone like brought it up, and I was like, I remember this. Now I'm crying.
I'm in therapy now. I'm sure a lot of that shit will come up later. I'll let you guys. I'll keep you guys updated.
It's better not awaken anything in me.
Let's talk about some other shit from back in the day. Did you guys ever watch The Forbidden Temple?
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
Apparently they're coming out with a new version of it.
You mean Hidden Temple?
Hold on. Remind me what the Forbidden Temple is.
Legends of the Hidden Temple.
That's it. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was a Nickelodeon game show.
Yes.
For kids.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about now. Yeah,
It-
they already anyone. They rebooted it already.
Yeah, and it's adult based. Also, that's another thing that's a fun rabbit hole to fall down. Go on YouTube and type in Legends of the Hidden Temple behind the scenes and hear adult contestants that were kids on the original show recounting the fucked up weird experiences they had on the set of that show.
Like, what do you mean by fucked up weird experiences?
Like, yeah,
Okay.
like were they fucked or
No. Just how like
okay.
Were they
shit
fucked or
that
were they
happened-
attacked by ghosts? I want to know what I'm looking at.
Okay. So all right. So I
Yeah, you gotta be really specific when you're talking about kids behind the scenes on a show.
yeah, okay. So like it's nothing like sexual or
Come
anything
sit
like
on
that.
this couch, please.
No. It's nothing sexual or anything like that. It's more like weird conditions that the kids had to put up with, and possibly some things are like stretching the laws of what's legal to put a kid through and stuff like that. No less than two of the what are they called? The Temple Guardians when you're running through the obstacle thing at the end. No less than two Temple Guardians were fired from the show because they were overzealous, not sexually in a way, but they were overzealous with how they would spook the kids. And one kid had to go to therapy for it for like a long time.
I
'Cause they
guess
would, like-
this still fits with the theme.
So,
I mean,
so
like,
Buzz,
if you're
BuzzFeed,
pumped on adrenaline
like-
running through a fucking obstacle course and some half-dressed motherfucker in an Unga Bunga mask comes out and
Yeah.
starts screaming at you.
Yeah. You'll notice as well if you watch the show, they're aired way out of order, and you'll notice some like inconsistencies from like they changed this later on because it was better for the kids or whatever, but they'll air like parts of season 2 at the end of season 3, stuff like that, just because of for whatever fucking reason the network had. But you'll notice that like the way that certain obstacles are designed changed and then go back to how they once were. Because halfway through like the first season, kids were getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
For one kid had an epileptic fit because he had epilepsy and the mom didn't tell anyone that. And
Good job.
he was going through
Way to go, Mom.
He was going through the temple, and you'll notice in the first season and parts of the last 2 seasons, or last season, I think it was it 3 or 4 seasons? I can't remember. But in like the middle of watching the whole show from start to finish, they get rid of the flashing lights in the temple section. Because in the first season, a kid with epilepsy had a seizure because of the flashing lights. Because his mom wanted the kid to be on the show so bad, she left that out of the form.
I will risk my child's
Yeah.
health for fame.
Yeah. There was one kid that allegedly got a concussion because he fell off of an obstacle and his helmet slipped off. Yeah.
In the tomb of the mummy, you'll find
Yeah.
the silver monkey skull that will lead you to the key
Right,
to
okay.
the great temple of some random shit.
Speaking of the Shrine of the Silver Monkey, was I the only one as a kid that would get super triggered by
Thanks,
the
display.
fucking dumb fuck kids that couldn't figure out the order that it went together? It's feet connected to like kneeling legs. Obviously, that goes a certain way. Then you've got the arms on the torso. That obviously goes a very specific way. And then the head with the rod that presses the button underneath the altar obviously goes on in a very specific way. And you watch these kids like, what is it doing? Like, did anyone else get super triggered and start screaming at their TV when they would watch that part?
I may have. I
Like,
don't
every
remember.
time.
In hindsight, it was really obvious how it fucking fit together.
Like, oh my god.
How do you not get this, kid?
Like in between the thighs of the leg part, there was like a V notch that was perfectly shaped for the bottom of the torso part, And then so the torso part only fits on one direction and one vertical position, and then the head obviously
on upside down or
and the head obviously faces forward with the rod down, and you would still see people put the head on backwards and be like, I don't understand why it's not working.
Fist on it repeatedly.
I'm gonna get all the body parts in the right order.
Don't you
just
watch
backwards.
Haven't you ever seen the show that you're on?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, there was so what would happen was like the temple guard would pop out and like maybe like grab the kid for a second and be like and like scare him, and then that was okay, you're disqualified. In the first season, there were a lot of like guards that were like, "Oh, I'm just a piece of shit bit actor trying to make a name for myself in Hollywood. This is just a stepping stone so I can get to know people in the industry or whatever." And they would like try to like audition in the middle of the show for how spooky scary they could be, and they would like grab the kid in like a full body bear hug and like drag them back into the sarcophagus that they jumped out of or whatever. And it was traumatizing kids. And it severely fucked one kid up that he had to go to therapy for like 10 years.
Yeah. The shitty thing is that, most of the time it didn't happen once, it happens fucking twice.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Because, if you get grabbed the first time, you can break your fucking pendant and they have to back off.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, you'll notice it. So like the first season and the last season, I forget if there's 3 or 4, but the first season and the last season are actually all from the first season. So whatever you see in the last aired season of Legends of the Hidden Temple is actually leftover shit from the first. You'll notice in the middle part, like the second season onward, they change a lot of stuff. So you'll notice that the temple guards don't grab the kids as much. You'll notice that a lot of the obstacles seem a lot safer. And they even changed the stairway. Like at the beginning where you have to answer trivia questions to advance down the stairway to the bottom, and whatever 2 teams make it to the bottom are the ones that go on or whatever. They make the stairway like the steps get shorter, and the platform you stand on is wider because kids were tripping and busting their face, falling down the fucking stairs. Because
that at least makes absolute sense.
Kids. Yeah. Dude, these are grade school kids. They're not super coordinated.
Yeah, they apparently. I'm looking through some random facts about the show. They'd film 5 episodes at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So they just have 5 sets of going through all the moat things and all this, and then just set it up for the next one.
Another
and apparently they always had pizza for lunch.
I was gonna say another fun fact, as recounted by multiple grown adults that used to be kids on the first show. Those of you that are as old as I am might remember a show called Nick Arcade.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it.
Yeah, Nick Arcade was a game show where you answered trivia questions, and then if your team made it to the finals, you played a bunch of arcade games and tried to get the high score to win. The green room for Legends of the Hidden Temple had all of the old arcade machines from Nick Arcade. So while you were waiting for your team to go out or whatever to film your episode, you ate Domino's pizza and played free arcade games. So that's pretty dope.
What other game shows were around at that time for kids?
There was Double Dare. Everyone remembers that.
Yeah.
Which I forgot about Double Dare. I completely forgot about Double Dare.
Yeah. The one thing that any old contestant or anyone that worked on that show will always say that everyone agrees on is that set stunk. It smelled so bad because you have all this ice cream and dairy products and whipped cream just baking in studio lights inside an enclosed California soundstage. Or no, it was Florida, I think. So it's even worse.
And you come to find out later that the host is extremely neat freak obsessive compulsive.
Mark Summers, yep. Who went on to have a Food Network show called Unwrapped. That was pretty fun.
So whenever contestants are hugging on him or like putting stuff on him. He's like secretly horrified, but he has to keep his composure.
Yep. And that was the thing. It's like again, like it's another one where like they talk to the kids that were testing back in the 80s and 90s, and like they all say it's like, yeah, like when you're a kid, you're sitting there like looking at all these ice cream slides and like chocolate fountains and shit, and you're like, this is gonna be awesome. And then you dive head first into like an ice cream like slip and slide, and the stench gets all up in your nostrils and in your mouth, and you just want to puke. There's so many times they had to cut.
Rancid.
Yeah, where they had to cut, reset the entire stage, like redress the whole set, and then do another run of the course because the kids were puking.
You'd think they wouldn't use actual ice cream.
Yeah, you'd think, but
yeah, but this is back in the days when kids were.
Yep.
Well, back when we were kids.
A lot of people were freaked out by the game where they had to get up in that fucking fake nose.
Oh god, yeah, the booger nose and pull out the long yellow. You had to go with the long like rubber yellow ribbon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, yeah. There was one, I can't remember what it's called, and none of my friends know either, but I know they've seen it. There was two versions of the same show. One was themed on a haunted house, and the other one was themed on like a dream house, like a Malibu dream house, where it was a scavenger hunt. It was kind of like Legends of the Hidden Temple when you're running through the temple at the end of the show. But it was like a Malibu dream house, and you had a different room, and the host would give you a list of things you had to find. So be like find the Thigh Master, find the fucking I don't know, like find like the Cyndi Lauper CD or some shit like that. And
I
like
vaguely remember that.
Yeah, and you had like a minute and a half to run through this whole house and find the items and get out. And if you won shit like a Toys R Us shopping spree and all that kind of shit. And on Halloween they had a Halloween exact same thing but set in a haunted house. When you're answering the questions at the beginning, you're outside this big rickety, scary wrought iron gate with the haunted house in the background, which is all just like a matte painting in the background. And then you'd go inside another studio, and you had the interior that was cut away like the temple was.
Like, wasn't there a game show on Nickelodeon or something where you'd find, or is this what you're talking about?
By the way,
huh?
This is all Nickelodeon.
Yeah, but wasn't there one on Nickelodeon where the end of it was you had to run through a store and buy you had to grab whatever you wanted?
You were talking about Supermarket Sweep.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a supermarket. It was like a Toys R Us or something. It was like a Supermarket Sweep type thing, but
okay, that was where the origin of Chris Chan comes from. That was a thing back in the day. Toys R Us would run these contests where you answer a question by watching a cartoon, and like you have to watch the cartoon to the end and like find the secret message, send it in on a self-addressed stamped envelope, and if they pull your name out of like a drawing,
that's right. Like that's what it was.
You would get like a $500 shopping spree at like KB Toys or Toys R Us or something.
No, you'd have a set amount of time where you'd have to run around.
Yeah, and you basically just anything you can cram in the cart in that time limit, get.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you still had to make it to the finish line.
Yeah.
On the topic of game shows, though, like the most hardcore fucking game show when I was growing up as a kid was Nickelodeon Guts.
Ooh.
Guts was the shit. I used to want to be on that so bad. I wanted a piece of the
aggro crag, man.
I wanted a piece of that so bad, man. Oh my god. I used to love the outfits, how they had like the mountain climber gear, all like they had like neon teal and purple and yellow and shit.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted one of those outfits so bad. Because like I've always been into hiking. When I was a kid, I was on cross country and track, and I played soccer and all that. So I was a very active kid. I was riding my BMX bike, breaking all my bones and shit. Guts was my shit when I was a kid. Like I was never good at like trivia stuff. Even though my grandmother's number one punishment for me wasn't to take away my Nintendo, wasn't to tell me I couldn't hang out with my friends. I had to read parts of, and I had it, Encyclopedia Britannica, and go through page this to page that, and copy everything verbatim with hand in a composition notebook. That was my punishment. So I knew all kinds of random fucking trivia, but I was never interested in going on any of these trivia shows. I wanted to be on Guts so bad.
I barely remember Guts.
It was awesome.
The best part was the end of the show, and like especially when the crag would erupt.
Yep.
Like, you got all these fucking smoke machines and shit's falling down from the top of it.
Yeah, you had like foam rocks that would fly all over the audience and shit.
That show was fucking great.
Yeah, you got to like rappel down walls. There was like, nowadays we would call them a recumbent bike, and you would get made fun of for riding one. But they had this one that was like a recumbent bike, basically like a grown-up big wheel race around a fucking like foot track. It was fucking awesome. And it was like a Mad Max chariot race where you could bump each other off and stuff. It was basically American Gladiators but for kids. It was fucking sick.
Yeah.
Which is another thing. American fucking Gladiators.
I tell you what, though, you didn't want to fucking fall off the crag, man.
No.
That thing is, like, if you look at it, especially now, it's, holy hell, that thing is horrifying.
Yeah, they were sending 10-year-olds up that shit.
It's like, there are so many ways that you could fucking cripple yourself for life or slice a fucking arm off.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, sure. You've got the, like, bungee cord to like, stop you from falling to your death. But if you're close to it and you, like, just tip backwards, you're getting fucked up on the way down.
You look at the angles on that thing.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Like, you're not going to slam into the ground at the bottom, but all the way down, you're...
Let's just slide across all this shit.
But don't worry, you're wearing a bright yellow helmet. You're fine.
Oh.
No iPro at all.
What's iPro?
You had like, I think in the later seasons they gave the kids like fingerless gloves, so they had like more traction and stuff, so they wouldn't get rope burn when they were doing like the rope climbing challenges and shit.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking weird shit from back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, all that. I remember there was this one. Actually, you know what? All that had this one episode where I forget exactly what it was, but I remember it disturbed the fuck out of me as a kid.
All right.
Had something to do with guts, but at the time I was like, "Oh my god, that's what the fuck is going on?" Now I look back and I'm like, they had green food coloring on stuff they were calling guts. What was wrong with me?
Yeah.
It weird shows from back in the day. Like,
let's see,
I mean, what you don't see half of this shit anymore.
No, like all that was like SNL for kids. It was pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Even predating all that had some great segments, by the way. My favorites were Pierre Escargot, Repairman, Man, and what the hell was the Private Eye guy?
I don't fucking remember.
I don't. But now that you mention all that, I'm now remembered of a Nickelodeon thing that traumatized me. Movie. Keenan and Kel, two heads are better than none.
Yes! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god. Oh,
wow, I guess this is becoming therapy session. Let's talk about all our traumas.
Let's get it all up. This is a sharing and caring place. We're here for you. No judgment.
I was a huge fan of all that, and Keenan and Kel was one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
Surprising.
By the way, to the one person watching that isn't on the show,
well, we got
this is
Crab.
Yes, Crab, ear boy, from all that.
Yes.
Oh god. But yeah, this is a more lighthearted show since we're coming up on Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember? Like I was going to say before, predating All That, most of the All That alumni got their start on another skit show on Nickelodeon called Roundhouse.
I don't remember that at all.
Roundhouse was called Roundhouse because they had a rotating set. They had a rotating backdrop. It had like 5 or 6 sides on it, and they would spin it around and do different skits in front of it.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It started a recurring joke that came up in All That a couple times, where I believe it was Keenan actually created a radio that you wear on your butt that looks like a prosthetic butt.
Yes.
Yeah, that prop was used like 3 or 4 times in All That.
I missed the old all that fake commercials, and then the Amanda Show fake commercials, the popcorn pants.
Yeah, I never liked the Amanda Show.
Yeah.
I also
on Amanda Bynes.
Yeah. Well, it was rude for me because I couldn't stand Ask Ashley.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh,
annoying segment.
God.
But
I'm back.
my favorite segment from the Amanda Show though was the courthouse one, when she'd be Judge Judy essentially.
Oh, okay.
Handing down nonsensical punishments for no reason.
Yeah, and then they always had dancing lobsters at the end. Fun shit.
Yeah, I forgot that they had dancing lobsters before Katy Perry had dancing lobsters.
Mm-hmm. Amanda Bynes was before her time, dude.
I guess it speaks to my early growing snark, but one of my favorite aspects of all that was always Lori Beth's therapy sessions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Lori Beth Denberg. Oh my God.
That first All That cast was fucking amazing. The second cast sucked balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was basically like, it was like SNL, but like 30 years of SNL condensed into 2 seasons. Like,
yeah.
I mean, in terms of like the steady decline, it was rapid with All That.
Oh yeah.
I remember I'd see All That was about to start and be cool. Check it out. If it wasn't the right intro, fuck this. Nope.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Shit, man. I'm looking back now and I'm being reminded of shows I haven't thought about in years.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about how George Lopez ripped off the All That intro for his show?
I've never watched George Lopez show. I can't fucking stand that guy. He's so painfully not funny.
I mean, he had like one good HBO stand-up special that I saw, but not much beyond that.
Yeah.
His show wasn't bad, but yeah, no, he is a comedian.
Yeah.
The show was the show was able to get away with situational comedy, whereas him trying to do stand-up just kind of falls flat.
Yep.
Cousin Skeeter. Oh my God!
That show didn't age well.
Oh my fucking God! Yeah, Cousin Skeeter. He's like a Muppet. He's like a black Muppet. He's like if Bruno Mars was a Muppet.
Pretty much. That's pretty much what it is.
Hold on.
I gotta look this shit up.
Yeah, he looks like fucking Bruno Mars.
There was even a fucking movie at one point where they had a black girl Muppet too.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Cousin Skeeter.
Oh my God, she had fucking hoop earrings and everything.
Yes.
Wow.
That show was nothing but stereotypes.
This is straight 1994 black people.
Holy shit.
Oh my God.
I forgot this existed.
Oh my God.
All right, hold on. I gotta listen to the theme song.
Just
dude,
this image is great. I have to share this.
Just post it in the chat.
Oh, hey, it's the The dad that played Cousin Skeeter.
I am not putting
Also-
that on the fucking show, but that is fantastic. Holy
Oh,
fuck!
no! Oh no! Is it Colt 45 and a watermelon? Oh my god! Oh my!
Dude,
fucking
put that in
God.
general. Anyone watching who wants to know what we're gawking at, go check out the general chat of the LSD server.
I'm posting.
Oh man. And for those of you that aren't in the Discord already,
No.
if anybody, there's an invite.
So, I've got another one for you while we're talking about skit shows and stuff. Who remembers a show called Kablam? And
I remember
most,
Kablam.
I remember the name.
Most specifically, a little segment they had called Action League Now.
Yes.
Mhm. Action League now with the scuba man. Oh, it's swimming in the toilet.
I have to look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stinky diver.
Yeah.
Milkman with the
Oh
power.
god,
to-
yes, I
Yeah.
remember this now.
The Flesh. He's super strong and super naked. Literally just a naked He-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, actually, oh man.
Oh god.
Maybe this is why I have a twisted sense of comedy, because I watched all these shows as a kid.
Action
God.
League now.
The weird
That's-
shit.
Yeah, the one episode I'll never forget where they did the crossover Todd McFarlane Kiss action figures. Sorry, I'm an action figure nerd.
Mhm.
Fucking that blew my mind because like I had just gotten into Spawn, and then they did this Todd McFarlane episode, and I lost my fucking mind. I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is the coolest thing ever." I fucking hate Kiss. They're a shitty band. Don't at me.
Dude, I there was this girl in middle school who was obsessed with Kiss. It
Okay, but
wasn't
why?
good.
Yeah.
She was a special kind of crazy. I will stop there.
I get it. I have seen videos of like their live shows. They are spectacular, but take away all the pyrotechnics and shit, and they're a very lackluster rock band.
I think that's the one thing that most everyone's willing to give them is like when they do go live, they leave everything on that fucking stage by the end.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
They're
But
a performance. They're not a band.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And that's not a diss towards them.
No, like, they knew exactly how to market themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. That reminds me of a bit that somebody that did impressions on the Howard Stern show. He'd imitate Gene Simmons and just talk about like ridiculous shit for sale that's Kiss branded on
Oh my god.
Kiss.com. And he'd be like, so we got a Kiss coffin, and for an extra $10 million, we'll bury you with one of the band members.
What was it? Fucking
When they go, not when you go.
back in about the year 2000 or 2001, after the first Star Wars prequel came out, Phantom Menace, I think it was. I don't know Star Wars. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
about
Phantom
Star Wars.
Menace was
came out
the
in
first
99.
prequel.
My friends and I were in a Hot Topic when Hot Topic was like the hot new shit, and we noticed that they had so much Phantom Menace stuff, and I was like, wait a minute. And then we went into Best Buy, Phantom Menace, and like Star Wars, like the original trilogy had a new cut that was that was out on DVD, and like everywhere we went, there was Star Wars everything, and like we got home, and this is in a time like just around when Google just came out, because like Google came out in like '98, I think it was.
Back when it was good.
So like we went home and like we made a drinking game where we challenged each other. We were like, all right, type in Star Wars and then a random product. And if you don't find it, you don't have to drink. We were trapped within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, I searched Star Wars condom. I searched Star Wars dental dam. I searched Star Wars cat litter. Literally anything you can find branded in Star Wars.
Well, that's why in Spaceballs they had that whole bit.
Star Wars! Spaceballs the flamethrower.
Spaceballs the lunchbox. Spaceballs the bling. Spaceballs this.
Spaceballs the flamethrower.
Spaceballs the movie. Wait, what? Next Saturday movie? Yeah, we're in the movie. It's this new thing.
You can watch it before it even comes out.
Before they finish filming.
I have my finest men combing the desert, sir. Men, what have you found? We ain't found shit.
Nothing, sir. Nothing, sir.
By the way,
we ain't found shit.
I'm surprised
it's a couple of black guys with a fro pick.
Yeah, you don't hear much about him anymore, so a lot of people just assume he's dead.
2 years ago, I heard they were allegedly filming Spaceballs 2. That's all I know about Mel Brooks.
No, just this summer, I caught an article, an interview with Mel Brooks, and he said it's still in the works.
Okay.
So.
Spaceballs 2, The Quest for More Money.
Yeah.
If they don't title it that, what the fuck is their problem?
Yeah.
No, that is what they titled it.
Good, because that's what they called it in the first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if Disney can do it. Oh man, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, we're not talking about the new trilogy. We're talking about nostalgia. So back in the 90s and 80s time frame for this group at least.
Yeah. So okay, I guess if you guys are willing, no pressure. I know it's a bit personal for some people. What is your age range? I was born in '83. I am 36 years old.
I was born in '88, so I guess that makes me 31. I honestly don't know because I don't want to do the math.
Okay, fair enough.
I was born in '93.
Baby.
I'll be 29 in like 2 months.
Oh my god, I'm geriatric.
You knew how old I was when you came here.
I know.
That's a loaded term.
Yeah. Whoa. Well, he didn't come there.
There were a lot of loads.
Yeah.
He did come there. I came there as well. Yeah.
So yeah, my main range was mostly in the mid 90s, back when geometric shapes were the thing.
So now since I'm the oldest one here, I'm gonna rattle off shows I used to watch before I got anywhere near like pre-teenage, and see if any of you guys recognize them at all.
Okay.
Because they might have been well before your time. Dino Saucers?
Vaguely remember it.
Yeah, same.
Denver the Last Dinosaur.
Vaguely remember it.
Never saw it myself.
The Dennis the Menace cartoon.
I remember that. I don't think I ever watched it, but I remember it existing.
Let's see what else. The Adventures of T-Rex.
There's a real dinosaur theme here, isn't there?
90s was super big on dinosaurs.
The 90s was mega big on dinosaurs.
It was.
Everything was dinosaurs.
Yeah, like 1993, Jurassic Park drops.
Yeah.
The whole fucking world is obsessed.
What were the Power Rangers Megazords? All dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Well, that was that was
technically
season.
Only 2 of them were dinosaurs.
Yeah. Let's see.
Wasn't that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers specifically?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The first season here in the U.S. was called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
I wasn't allowed to watch that either. Too much violence.
My younger
was-
brother is not
okay.
allowed to watch Power Rangers, and he's 21.
Wow.
But he's also autistic, so keep that in mind.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's a little bit. Wow. I was allowed to participate in combat sports, but I wasn't allowed to watch violent shows for kids.
Cool. That makes.
And
I want you to practice, not to emulate.
No, well,
if you're gonna do it,
I
you do it for
actually
real.
talked to my mom about this like a week or
You're not
two
going to get the
ago.
wrong impression. You're going to learn how to beat
Apparently-
the fuck out of them for real.
Yeah, I was talking to my mom about this a couple weeks ago. She's like, no, I just made excuses because I didn't want to have that on the TV because I'd have to watch it too.
So now the truth comes out.
It's too violent.
Thanks, Mom.
Mom, it's the Care Bears. It's too violent.
Scooby-Doo the Scooby-Doo thing still doesn't make sense though. She told me that's her biggest regret because we never let her live it down.
Let's see. I got a super obscure one. This was okay. So when I was a kid, and I mean like a little kid, like 5, 6, 7, and this started before my time, but was still a thing when I started watching like Saturday morning cartoons and shit. That's a whole other thing from my generation of Saturday morning cartoons. But there was a big thing about daredevils. You know, like Evel Knievel and like jumping a motorcycle over a canyon or flaming buses.
Yeah, that existed. That existed during my time too. It carried over for for a long time.
To an extent, at least. The idea behind it changed a bit, but it was always the Daredevil.
Are you going to talk about Super Dave?
I was going to talk about Super Dave Osborne.
Yeah.
He was because another thing that started when I was a little kid was the love of parodying everything. That's when we got things like Hot Shots. We got The Naked Gun. Parodying popular tropes was, like the shit in the. Remember, Super Dave was the first one that I got into.
They were also good back then too.
Yeah,
before,
it was
Scary
a
Movie and Epic
Scary-
Movie.
It was
back when parody was still an art form.
Yeah, it was take something, find a way to make fun of it while still being entertaining.
Yeah.
Now parody is just like, oh, look at this stupid thing. It's dumb.
Let's take all the biggest movie tropes from the past 2 years and cram them all into one movie. This isn't a parody. This is just a bunch of references wrapped in the theme of another movie.
Pop culture references the movie. Pop culture references the movie too. Pop culture references the movie
okay,
3.
okay. Hold on. I don't disagree with you on that one. But so like they still did that, like Airplane, for example.
Yeah, Airplane was fantastic.
It's like, yeah, I speak jive.
Yeah, but at the same time, Airplane. If you take out
Airplane, actually had good writers behind it.
Yeah, if you ignore if you don't know the cultural context, or the pop culture context, it's still a fantastic movie. You don't get as many of the jokes, but you still have so many jokes that to this day are fantastically funny.
Like one of my favorite bits from Airplane is my favorite one of my favorite bits from Airplane is when the two kids are acting like adults and the boy kid's like, "Can I get you some coffee?
Yes.
Want cream or sugar?" And she's like, "No, I like my coffee how I like my men, black."
The fucking look on his face.
She's like 7.
If only there was a fucking word for. Oh god, what was that? Oh my god. Oh right, timeless. It's not relevant only to that decade. Like it transcends whatever decade you're in. The jokes still land. You don't have to be 50 years old to get the joke.
Maybe not all of the jokes, but the vast majority.
Surely,
Yeah.
surely there must be something you can do.
There isn't, and don't call me Shirley.
No.
One of my favorite bits was
Hold on. I have to salvage this joke. It goes, surely you can't be serious. I'm always serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Yeah.
What about the inflatable autopilot? Oh no, he's deflating. Locate the manual inflation valve.
He tries to get up and he puts his arm over. No, keep going.
A couple. The next scene, they're sitting there smoking.
Oh my god!
One of my favorite bits in that movie was at one point this guy offers basically like this proto-Karen a swig of whiskey.
Oh my god!
She turns her nose up before doing a massive line of cocaine.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Oh, back when parody was an art and not.
When what's his name? The guy that ends up saving the plane. Spoiler. When he's in like therapy and he's like painting.
I have a drinking problem. He has a glass of water. It goes into his face, not into his mouth.
He pours it all down his shirt.
It goes behind him.
Just dumb little puns like that. Fucking just.
He's not an alcoholic. He literally can't properly drink beverages.
Picked a hell of a day to stop sniffing glue.
Can we talk about the gay guy in the air traffic control tower?
Yeah.
I need to watch this movie again. Holy fuck.
Fuck yes, you do.
Like it's been a couple years since I last saw it, so I need to sit down and watch it again.
I don't remember much about Airplane 2, but the first one is fucking
Airplane
classic.
Airplane 2's ending is one of the best parts because it's just like 5 minutes of William Shatner consuming every piece of scenery in sight.
Yeah. Oh my god.
That's another thing. They could make sequels to these parodies, like Hot Shots Part 2. I like that better than the first Hot Shots.
I prefer the first one, but the second one was still gold. Still fucking great.
I
feel like we kind of trailed off our original subject.
What? No, this is still within it because we're talking about nostalgia. Nostalgia in media.
All right. I'd like to steer it back to how stuff formed us, but I'll let someone else start that off because I have to piss like a racehorse. And I'll be like...
I want to steer it back, but I'm gonna let someone else take care of that.
I'm not gonna pull my own weight around.
You know what, Addy? No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that at all.
Because Addy's listening and not currently draining a leg.
No. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's that large.
Oof. Fine. A puddle.
See, now you can get away with it. Chat, don't write out sir.
There ain't shit he can do about it anyway.
Not like he'd try.
No.
All right. So what are some of the more formative shows you guys watched as kids?
Rugrats.
Rugrats was a big one for me too.
Yeah. Rugrats is just Doctor Who it's just cartoon Doctor Who.
Kinda, yeah.
I wouldn't argue with that.
I mean, he's got a sonic screwdriver.
The creators actually came out and they were like, "We're huge Doctor Who fans, and if you rewatch it, there's a bunch of Doctor Who shit hidden throughout the entire show."
Like he's always got a screwdriver.
Uh-huh.
What are we talking about?
It's his trusty screwdriver. It solves all his problems.
Oh, gotcha.
Man.
Yeah, Rugrats, all that, and Invader Zim and the Roman Dirge. No, yeah, the Roman Dirge Lenore comics.
I never got into Invader Zim. It was just a little bit after my time, Like, it was big around the time I was in high school, I think.
Exactly. I was a freshman in high school, I think, when it came out. What's funny is that, you know, I'm gonna sound like culture nerd here for a minute. I got into Vader Zim much later because I was already reading Jonan Justice's comics, specifically the one everyone knows him for, Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
I love Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
Yeah.
So good.
And this is like the direction I wanted to steer things to, was how these things formed our adult personalities, how they influenced us growing up.
Well, we already know how some of this shit influenced you.
Oh, why don't you enlighten me?
Maybe not the people on the show, but it's all
we talked about
it's all your kinks.
Yeah. So I grew up in the mid '80s. I have my earliest memory, 87, maybe 86. My mom showed me pictures from like Christmas of like '85, and I have vague memories of them when I was fucking 2 years old. But my most vivid memories start in like '87, and they all start with cartoons. And I grew up in a very what's the word I'm looking for? Everything, like, genders had their own lanes. Boy stuff was very clearly boy stuff. Girl stuff was very clearly girl stuff. And something in my brain chemistry was like, Addie, even though you're a boy, you are predisposed to wanting to do all the girl stuff. So my favorite cartoons growing up were things like Ninja Turtles, but not because I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle, because I wanted to be April O'Neil.
You wanted to be April O'Neil.
Mm-hmm. Scooby Doo, but not because I wanted to be Fred or Shaggy, because I wanted to be Velma or Daphne.
Why would you want to be Daphne?
Oh,
that's self-explanatory.
Funny you should ask, Rimshee. So, those of you who follow me on social media, particularly
I'm already aware
Twitter,
of this, by the way.
Particularly those of you who follow me on Twitter will know that I reblog about porn all day long. You'll notice a theme to a lot of the porn I reblog. Bondage. And that seed was planted when I was like 5 years old by shows like Ninja Turtles and Scooby Doo and Inspector Gadget, because the female leads would inevitably always become a trope that became very near and dear to my heart, known as the damsel in distress. They would always get kidnapped and need to be rescued, and they'd be like bound and gagged in like a storeroom or something like that. And sometimes the episode would center around them escaping on their own to like empower them or whatever. And yeah, that had a huge impact on me, and I like it like awakened me sexually at a very early age.
About
tying directly into that.
Nice.
But as like tying directly into that, those shows around the exact same age period, like awakened me, but in the exact opposite direction.
Yeah. From what I understand of Sir, and from what I know from him personally from time spent with him, I think it impressed on you that you wanted to be the one in power. You wanted to be the villain, as it were. You wanted to be the Shredder or the Creeper, or
Yes.
Yeah.
I said basically, like same scenario, same age period, exact opposite reaction.
Yeah.
Well, that's also the reason why like 5 or 6 years ago, quicksand porn became a big thing.
Oh yeah,
because quicksand was everywhere in cartoons.
Yeah. what is it? There's a YouTuber called
There's
SirIsWatching.
quicksand porn.
Hold on.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a there's a YouTuber called SaberSpark. Look him up. He does awesome fucking breakdowns of like horrible cartoons and shit like that. He did an expose on the studio that created Totally Spies and talks about how that entire show is fetish bait. Every episode of the show is about inflation or bondage or like gender swapping.
I
Like
think I've got to watch this
quicksand.
show now.
Yeah, like
the standard
was
attire for the main characters are skin tight fucking cat suits.
with high heels.
Yeah, I remember
Well,
that.
yeah, they're
With high heels.
spies, duh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In
This
every
entire
episode,
I was more
show
of a
was
Kim- I
based
was more
on
of
the
a Kim
creator's
Possible
fucking
kid.
fetishes.
yeah.
I was more of a Kim Possible kid. I'm super into
Yeah.
redheads.
Yeah.
Kim Possible had a fair amount of that too. And by the way, again, those of you that follow me on Twitter, last week I discovered that I am literally Shigo, and Disney owes me money for ripping me off. Shigo is literally me, the villain.
So in the late '90s, early 2000s, the like cartoon love interest was always like some edgy goth type chick.
Oh yeah.
And-
The
yeah,
big titty
and
goth
so
girlfriend.
like, I think that goes along with the big titty goth GF thing that was
Yeah.
going around last year.
Was
yeah.
going
It's
around.
bad,
It still
bad.
exists.
Yeah, there was the character
yeah,
from.
It's just not
It
as
was really big. It was really big last year.
Yeah, there was the female lead on Danny Phantom. I never watched the show, but I know exactly what you mean.
Sam,
There,
I think.
yeah,
Mhm.
there was
Yeah.
the goth chick on Total Drama Island.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Never watched that.
Yeah, Total Drama Island.
It actually
great.
wasn't a bad show.
Yeah, watch it as an
It was
adult.
legitimately-
You will appreciate the humor. It's fucking great. It's kind of hit or miss. There was another show that the studio that Total Drama Island did about like a bunch of teens that hang out at a mall. What the fuck was that called? Like 17 or some shit like that. It was called.
I know what you're
No, I
talking about.
think it was called 16 because there was like exactly 6 of them.
Maybe yeah. It was something like that. But like that had some pretty good jokes in it too. But it was very much a case of like, how do you do, fellas? Like, we are a network trying to get you Nielsen ratings.
Yeah, it was called 16. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. Not bad. But I'm an old boomer, even though I'm not. But yeah. What else? What else that you consumed as a preteen helped shape you into the adult you are now?
The Lenore Stories of Cute Little Dead Girl comics.
There you go. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
I don't know. I watched a lot of comedy stuff when I was a kid. I was just drawn to it. So
Yeah, I've never been much of a horror person myself. Like old horror movies are, in my opinion, are much better than the more modern ones. Because the more modern ones, it's more, hey, we're gonna kill people, and that's gonna scare you. The old ones actually had thriller to it.
New ones mostly. The one thing that killed me was the advent jump scare.
Yeah.
As like a get out of creativity free card.
Jump scare, over reliance, and we're gonna scare you by killing people in different ways. That's pretty much what modern horror movies are.
Yeah. Ralph the Movie Maker and Adam from put it best when they did their review of it. It has a couple jump scares, but they're properly utilized and they're not cheap. But they're cheapened. They are cheapened by the fact that the fucking that the editor at the last minute decided to put like a musical violin sting on each jump scare, so it's like whee! And it's like they don't trust that the audience is paying attention. So like we gotta make a scary sound too, because you're too dumb to understand that you're supposed to be scared by this. It's like
I think
why aren't they showing
the Spoony one put it best.
Hmm.
Like jump scares have their place.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it properly, it's something that you only do twice.
You don't.
You have the
You may be
initial
able to get
one.
away with a third time, maybe.
Yeah. But like, ideally, if you're going to do it twice. You have the initial one, and then you set that tension for the rest of the movie.
Yep.
Because nothing happens. Then it does, and
Yeah.
So Crab, there's an article about Roman Dirge's Lenore, cute little dead girl. It's actually a really funny comic, and it's really interesting. There's a little vampire that was turned into a little doll and can't bite people. Yeah, I don't know. Ragamuffin, one of my favorite characters.
Yeah. What was it? In the last issue, I believe it was the last issue of Johnny the Homicide, the last official issue of his first run of comics before everyone bullied him into doing another run. Johnny Vasquez would always put like little vignettes at the end of each issue of like a little like standalone story that had nothing to do with Johnny the Homicidal Maniac or whatever. And my favorite one was from the final issue. It was called The Birthday Party. And it's about this kid has a birthday party and there's a piñata. And later that night, when everyone's asleep, there's like a tapping on the window, and like the kid wakes up in bed, and then he hears like glass break downstairs in the kitchen or something, and he like pulls the covers up to his face. He's all scared, and then he hears like something wooden being dragged along the floor, and then banging off the steps as it's being dragged up the stairs, and then he hears his parents' bedroom door open, and he hears you know like the heavy wet thud of something wooden being smashed into somebody's body, and he hears his parents screaming. And then an army of piñatas busts his bedroom door open, all holding wooden baseball. And they're like, you!
Okay, I remember this.
You were there! You watched! It's like an 8-year-old kid. Fucking amazing.
Yeah.
You laughed.
Yeah, so
while it happened.
So Jonan Vasquez and Roman Dirge were actually friends. That's why their comics were so similar.
Oh,
they
yeah.
were just both into dark shit.
Mm-hmm.
They had their own ideas, and they worked on stuff together. Like they both worked on Invader Zim and things like that. By the way, I wasn't a huge fan of the new Invader Zim movie that came out.
I haven't seen it yet.
It seemed like they lost the magic.
I mean, Invader Zim is very late 90s. Like, Invader Zim rides the cusp, in my opinion. It's what would eventually become early internet humor. Like when Newgrounds first started, Invader Zim is literally what bled over into the internet in the form of the first wave of Newgrounds animators.
It's a time capsule.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at Ed, and Eddie. That was early 2000s, and I mean, you can't. It's even more recent, and you can't resurrect that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You try and resurrect Ed, and Eddie right now, and you're going to end up with a shit show. Which is true for a lot of these comics, in all honesty. A lot of these old shows and old comics, like Scary Stories. I'm going to try and find a copy of that so I can read it to my kids so they can be traumatized.
Yeah. Of course.
But I'm not going to... If they come out with a new Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, I'm not going to bother getting it. Because it's not going to be the same. You come out with a new Action League now, it's not going to be the same.
That's the thing too. Like to go all the way back to what we started with Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. The reason that book series traumatized me, like I look at the pictures now, and they're still really scary. Like I look at them and I get like I feel like a shiver go up my spine because the artist that did all the artwork for those books is fucking amazing.
Oh,
and he has this amazing ability to like chill you to your fucking core. When you turn the page, it's like a jump scare by itself. You turn the page in that fucking ghastly woman's face, and everyone knows exactly what one I'm talking about.
You end up feeling like a little nauseous because there's like able to capture the emotion of what the story is. I think. It truly feels, and the reason that it had the effect on me that it did was because when I read those books,
I still believed in ghosts. I still believed in hell and heaven. I did not yet understand a whole lot about science. You know, I still had my childlike innocence. You know, things were truly scary to me. I still believed in monsters under my bed. Like that movie, that series of books, that trilogy of books, like 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 terrified me to my very core. Like like and I've gone back and I haven't read them lately, but like I think I went back to them back in like the early 2000s. Like I tracked them down. And I remember that the picture still really scared me. But I remember reading through some of them. There's one story called Bloody Fingers about like a haunted hotel room
I remember that one.
that has a really dumb ending where like a stoner guy gets the hotel room and like it's like no one wants to rent, like we only have one room that's vacant and it's the haunted room. No one wants to go there because there's a scary ghost, and like a stoner's like, whatever, I'll take it. And like he's like chilling in his hotel room, and then at exactly midnight every night a ghost jumps out of the closet and it's like bloody fingers, like his fingers are all cut off and they're all bloody or whatever. And the stoner's like, here dude, I got you a band-aid. And that's the end of the story. It's like, yeah, some of these are dumb.
Yeah.
Like really dumb. But
But as a kid, that's not what
yeah,
you remember.
yeah. I don't remember the dumb ones. I remember the ones that fucked me up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Harold, the fucking guy that's on all the posters for the movie. I think his name is Harold. The fucking scarecrow. That story's fucking horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
A dude gets skinned alive.
Like I would scary stories to tell in the dark kind of cultivated the reason why I ended up hanging out in graveyards as a teenager. There's a graveyard in my town.
Yeah. I wasn't
right by the school.
Yeah,
I wasn't go to the graveyard and smoke cigarettes during lunch.
I wasn't that edgy a goth, but I didn't hit my goth phase.
I wasn't even goth. I was just punk rock, and I said, "Fuck you, death."
Yeah, I didn't hit my goth phase. I didn't hit my goth phase until like 1998. I got a long black trench coat in 1998. I replaced my entire wardrobe with like black half cut T-shirts that showed my midriff, and then underneath I would wear like a full, like an upper body, like a long sleeve like fishnet shirt underneath, like a skin tight fishnet shirt. Paint all my nails black, wear black lipstick, eyeliner, all that shit. I already have really dark hair that basically looks black, so I just let that grow out. I wore spiked dog collars and shit like that, wallet chains.
Yeah, I think that had less to do with being goth, though.
No, I was definitely identifying as goth at that time.
Yeah, but the collars and chains probably had less to do with being goth.
Well, those also bled over from
by the time I was in high school, the goth thing had already passed, and like emo and scene kids were really big.
Oh my god, I remember the advent of scene kids.
For those of you that don't know, the difference between emos and scene kids is scene kids are colorful. It's pretty much it.
God, I cannot remember.
I don't think it's that you can't remember. I think it's that you don't want to remember.
No, like, there's this book that I read a while ago, and I cannot remember the title for it. But you were talking about like scary stories to tell in the dark and all that shit.
Yeah.
And I remember this book kind of fucking with me for a long time. Because basically the start of the book is that like it's a bunch of these high school kids that are at like a party at somebody's house.
Okay.
And all of a sudden this girl comes in through the front door with a pump action shotgun.
Oh.
And like the first dude she sees, she fucking cuts in half with the thing.
Jesus.
Like, it literally describes how his fucking mutilated guts just, like, fucking pulp the wall behind him, and he just, like, sickeningly sinks to the ground.
Jesus.
And like she kills 3 or 4 more before they finally manage to wrestle her to the ground.
Holy fuck.
But like it turns out that like there's this thing going around in the town's water supply that is literally turning some of the kids into flesh-eating monsters from the inside out.
Oh.
And I cannot remember the title of that book, but like the opening of that book is like, Jesus fuck!
Huh.
Shotgun Susan at it again.
God, let's see.
Well, we keep coming back to the creepy. I think there's a theme here.
Well, because they clearly had like one of the biggest effects on us growing up.
Yeah.
Anybody remember Mr. Meaty?
Yeah.
It
It was a little after my time.
Show.
Yeah. It was definitely well after my time, but
well, because that matched in with because I was into Invader Zim at the time, which is just grungy and grimy and dirty, and it matched the aesthetic, but with puppets. So.
Yeah, we keep coming back to this horror stuff. It's like there's a theme.
Well,
what is it like? Scary shit actually provides you with maybe some actual trauma and life-changing type shit when you're a kid.
Yeah, and that might not necessarily be a bad thing.
And that was the thing too. Like this might get a little sad for a second, but if you guys were around for our last and our first Serious Saturday, I talked about how I was going through a lot of stuff as a kid, like a little kid. I was in family court and in between families and all kinds of things. And my number one escape was to watch cartoons and horror movies. And horror movies specifically because it was the only thing that seemed to overshadow the trauma of growing up in the middle of something like that. You know, like my grandmother brainwashed my parents and all this other stuff, and having to, you know, see family therapists and people from the court, and you know, talk to the judge and all that kind of shit. Like the only thing that helped me suppress that and how weird it all was to escape into something that completely like overwhelmed me. So that's why Ghostbusters became my favorite film of all time, because it was scary and it was really funny. And I didn't, you know, like I was young enough that I couldn't really tell between reality and fiction. And I had seen I'd seen the cartoon as a kid. I saw the cartoon before I ever saw the movie. And when I saw the live action film, I was convinced that because they lived in New York and one day I would be able to meet them and I could get a job just like Winston does in the movie. I could just walk in and get a job and I could be like the next generation of Ghostbusters. And I was super excited about it. And you know, like that was my escape. So like things like horror movies, they stick with me because that was like my own way of like self-medicating, I guess, like mentally against all the shit I was going through. You know, so like my grandmother never like intervened. Like I would be watching, we had before things like the Sci-Fi Channel and stuff, we had this channel called Tech TV.
I remember Tech TV. It's still on, isn't it?
I don't know. It eventually spawned networks like G4. All of that came out of Tech TV, but I digress. Tech TV.
Oh man, I remember watching G4 as a kid. Attack of the Show.
Yeah. Tech TV and another network called USA, and another network called TNT, which I believe TNT is still around today.
Oh yeah.
That had
TNT
all of
and
these,
USA are both still around.
Yeah, that had all of these weekend horror movie marathons, and one was hosted by a guy called Joe Bob Briggs, who has recently made a comeback. I'm super happy to say. And I used to watch all these horrible gory, terrifying films as a kid. And my grandmother would be like, "You're gonna have nightmares," and I'd be like, "No, no," and I never did. I never woke her up in the middle of the night, scared, like whatever. And I think at some point she probably realized that they were helping, so she never intervened. So I actually started making friends in my neighborhood because my place became known as the place you could go to where you could watch horror movies and the adult in the room didn't care.
Yeah.
So like all the neighborhood kids would start coming to my house to watch shit like Alien and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like like John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
My parents didn't really like horror movies, so the only horror movies I
Not
was really allowed to
surprising.
watch were like Alfred Hitchcock movies. Like
Still
good
pretty
suspense.
traumatizing.
Yeah, well, the birds fucked me up for sure.
Yeah, holy shit, the bird stuck with me for a long time.
The bird still kind of fucks with me.
Yeah. We live right by the Hudson River. The first time that an aggressive seagull came after my bag of potatoes, I was in the car screaming.
Yeah.
I'm
for
in
years
California.
after,
I'm in
you
the
see
Bay
fucking
Area,
pigeons
so
just, like,
where that movie takes place is not far from where I am.
Yeah, no.
Think about that one.
Yeah.
When I grew up in a small little farm town, and with farm towns you get mass population of crows because there's plenty of grain and shit for them to eat, and corn and whatnot. So crows were fucking everywhere, and I remember the first time after watching the birds, I was like, "Nope, fuck this shit. Like,
Not ever
I'm
going
not going
outside
outside." And
Yep.
even my mom admitted to me, she's like, "If I see more than like 5 crows in an area, I just avoid that area entirely."
I had a
Sounds
pretty
about
traumatic
right.
experience with geese.
Oh.
So I guess I'll just talk about this now.
Yeah, go for it.
When I was a kid, we had this next door neighbor. She was kind of she was older than us, but like not really fully adult yet. But she took us to the apartment complex, which is kind of like right next to our neighborhood.
Okay.
And they have one of those like retention ponds that has like the big fountain in the center.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we went there, my sister and I, with her, to feed the geese.
Oh.
And like we start feeding the geese, and it's going well at first, but eventually we run out of bread.
And geese are assholes.
And
They ain't about that one.
they weren't taking no for an answer.
Yeah.
So they start following us, and like we tried to get back to her car, they fucking surround it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They block all the doors, they're standing on top of it. And they chased us halfway around that fucking complex before they all finally fucked off into the pond. And I remember I was recounting this story later, and my sister's just sitting there looking horrified, like, "Oh my god, that actually happened? I thought that was a nightmare." I'm like, "No, that shit actually happened."
Well, congratulations, sis. You legitimately have PTSD.
In Spokane, like the big city near where I grew up, the park is full of geese during the summer. And there are signs everywhere. Do not feed the geese. They will attack you.
They are very, very aggressive.
Hell, I had an encounter with one not too long ago.
They have a serrated fucking tongue, and they got like teeth in their beak. They will fuck you up.
Yeah, they're like a fucking xenomorph. They're terrifying.
Yeah.
I was driving home one morning. Like I worked in like third shift. So like even when I come home, it's usually really fucking dark. And I'm pulling into the neighborhood, and I come around the corner, and like there's just this single goose, like standing in the middle of the road, staring straight ahead.
He's ready.
And like I almost ran over it. It was that close. And it just stood there and it looked at me for like 20 seconds and then just kind of slowly wandered off.
Yeah. They're not afraid of you, man.
You bastard! Why didn't you keep going?
I will admit, I had half a mind when it just stood there to just stomp on the accelerator.
Yeah, I don't feel bad about geese. I don't.
Fuck geese. Geese are terrible.
Yep.
Terrible,
Geese are terrible.
terrifying.
There was a time where the Canadian goose was actually in danger of going extinct. We shouldn't have stopped. Like whatever conservationist is like, oh, we need to save the geese. I need to meet that motherfucker.
Slap him.
At least.
So
I'll slap him with a goose.
I was
put him in a room alone with a goose.
I was living at a place here in Seattle, and I had a neighbor that had a type of duck called a Muscovy duck. They're about the size of a goose. And I'll show you an image of this ugly motherfucker. Not the specific one, but one of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that motherfucker, there was one day I was just leaving to go walk to work, and he had gotten out of the neighbor's yard and just started chasing me, pecking at me and shit like that. Chased me all the way to work.
Thing looks like it's been eating flesh.
Yeah. They're fucked up. Fucking hate those things. They're extremely aggressive. They'll be nice to some people for some reason, but for some reason, like me and my roommate at the time he would just escape and just start attacking us for no fucking reason. Him and I were cool for a bit, and then just one day he just started attacking me every time I'd walk by. And then he started attacking the other neighbors. Would never attack the owner, his owner, but started attacking other neighbors and shit. Yeah, it was fucked up. It's dead now.
Good.
Are you sure?
I've been dead a long time before that if I was in that neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the guy that owned it was also my landlord at the time.
Oh.
Can't get away with that. But eventually somebody came up with a dog and sicked their dog on the duck, which is really fucked up. Shouldn't have done like that. Yeah, the duck was already in shit. It was gonna die relatively soon anyways. I looked into its lifespan, figured it out. I was like, it'll die soon. Yeah, but somebody walked onto the landlord's property, just like walking their dog around by the river, and saw the duck and then sicked the dog on the duck. Which I totally disagree with, but I'm not sad that the duck is dead.
I disagree with it in principle, but I don't care.
I can't say I feel bad about it, but
don't do that, guys.
No.
Yeah. On principle, I must say, don't do that.
Don't make animals fight. That's not cool.
No.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you go to my Twitter and look at the media, you'll see some videos of like a house party on a river. It was at that place, and the duck would attack people at parties. So the dude that has those parties ended up having to put the duck into a cage of sorts.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's how birds affected us.
Yeah.
What other horror movies from back then? Back in the when horror movies actually had some punch, like Alien. Alien's a solid fucking horror movie.
My grandfather gave me that movie for my 12th birthday.
Okay, he's both.
And he sat down and watched it with me.
He's both a saint and a fucking psychopath.
He's both a saint and Satan. Got it.
Yeah, like him and my aunt, like they sat down and watched it with me when I was 12 years old, and I could not sleep for weeks.
Yeah.
Because, like, the room I was staying in at the time, I had, like, just the right amount of ambient shadow.
Mm.
And, like,
That'll
the way
do it.
that movie uses shadow.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah,
I mean, it's one of my all-time favorite movies now, but at the time...
Alien is fantastic. Aliens is fantastic. Like one of those occasions where a sequel is as good as its source.
That's the thing too, is that people are like, I know people who are staunchly one movie or the other. They can't appreciate both simultaneously. You have to understand that Alien and Aliens, while one's a sequel to the other,
they're entirely different films.
They are entirely different genres of film. They're both based in horror, but one's a thriller and one's a popcorn summer blockbuster action movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like if you appreciate them within their fantastic films.
I mean, like, I would say, like, there are plenty of moments in Aliens where things get intense. But there's never moments like in the original movie where you're just like, please, for the love of God, don't go in there. Or don't turn around. You're not going to like what you're going to see.
Yeah. A perfect example that I can think of is like compare like any one of the like isolated deaths in the first film, where like someone gets pulled up into like a ventilation duct or something like that, and you don't see the death happen, but like you know it happens, and you see the aftermath of it maybe. Compare the tension in one of those scenes. Now take a similar scene where there's a group of people, like the motion detector scene, where they're all in the room and they're surrounded and they're getting closer and they're counting down like the distance. And they're like, dude, they're right on top of us, man. How's that possible? And like, it's the same exact scene with more characters in frame and ramped up to 11.
Yeah.
It's the same scene approached from an action movie perspective.
Yeah. You know, like, I still hold that, like, the single most horrifying moment in the entire franchise is Lambert's death.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm horrible with names. Lambert was the...
She was the one who was extremely panicky.
Mm-hmm.
She was the navigator.
Oh, yeah.
We don't see what happens to her.
Nope.
We hear it, but we don't see it. And they've never explained, like, in any detail what happened to her.
Yeah.
We just hear it, and then we see a bit of the aftermath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough. And yeah, like I saw films like Alien and John Carpenter's thing like pretty early on, and what those two things instilled in me is I love presentation more than this is gonna sound shallow, but I think if you understand where I'm coming from, you'll get what I'm saying. Wow, that sounded super pretentious. But presentation over the subject matter.
To some degree, that's accurate. Because you can take... To some degree, that's accurate. Because you can take something that's a mediocre story, and if you get a solid director who can direct that like a fucking god, then you're gonna have a solid movie. But you gotta have something at least middling to start with. You're not... You could put a turd in a suit, and it's still gonna look like a turd in a suit.
Yeah, like my prime examples for that are Alien and John.
It's not that those were middling or medium. It's that it was a story that required solid storytelling in the directing.
Well,
I've lost everything I was going to say now, thanks.
If you look at it, like, John Carpenter's Thing is one of my all-time favorite movies. One of the best horror films ever made. It's a very simple premise. You have a bunch of guys in one location, and there's pretty much no way out. But the thing that the movie does brilliantly, the best aspect of that movie, is the sense of paranoia.
Yeah.
Because it's very simple, they're dealing with something that can perfectly mimic any of them. Down to having their mannerisms, health conditions, and memories.
One of
and it's like
you
just watch these people as they slowly start to tear each other apart because they can't trust anybody.
Yeah, ultimately some of the best horror movies have the simplest premise. The horror movies we make fun of are the ones where it's like, oh, it's a bunch of teens in the middle who end up in the middle of nowhere somehow, and they all get murdered by a guy with a knife. There's a murderer on the loose. No, those are the ones we generally make fun of. The ones we celebrate.
I would argue that slasher films are not horror films to an extent. Especially like modern slasher films.
Yeah.
Because it's not a horror movie if you want the characters to die.
Yeah, but my point is that a lot of people still do consider it horror.
It's like that's one of the great things about The Thing and Alien and other movies like that is that you don't want these people to die. You don't want bad things to happen to them, and it's horrific.
That's why I liked. That's why I kind of liked Cabin in the Woods. Because you're like, oh no, they got bamboozled and tricked into this fucked up situation. What's going on here? And it kept me guessing. I think that's what I liked about it overall.
Yeah, but my point
they
is
force
that
these kids into the tropes.
My point is that a lot of these, like what we look at, what a lot of people refer to as horror tropes, where it's what's commonly seen as a slasher flick now, but it's still considered a horror trope. That's the shit we make fun of. The stuff we celebrate are the ones where it's a very simple premise, or relatively simple premise that's just executed beautifully. Birds. You could go with birds as an example of this. It's simple. Birds have collectively started to attack humans. Where does it go from there?
With a vengeance.
Boom. And then the excellent directing and the choice of not including music and using, what was it, creepy synth sounds for the birds instead of actual bird sounds.
Yeah.
No music whatsoever throughout the movie. At least no music that is not being played by the characters in the movie. I think there's no music at all.
There's another movie, like the first horror movie I ever watched was, I think it was called Wait Until Dark. It was like a 50s or 60s horror movie. Blind chick's at home. These guys try to rob her house, but she comes home early and realizes somebody's there, and she just starts breaking out all the lights, and it just becomes like a survival film for her. And it's
that's
kind of like Straw Dogs, but with a blind one.
That's kind of interesting. I kind of want to look into that.
Yeah, they kind of did a remake of it recently.
Yeah.
It was it was like Be Quiet or something like that.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, the film flips everything on its head halfway through.
Don't Breathe.
Yeah, so the
Don't Breathe.
blind guy ends up being a psychopath. This was just a regular blind girl just trying to live her life. And somebody tried to...
Another one, and it might not, get people today like it did then, but like the original Andromeda Strain.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah, I have to go watch that.
Especially, like when they're first entering the town, and like there's just corpses. There's just dead people lying in the street or like sitting at counters, and it's deathly fucking quiet the entire time. And it's just these two guys walking around in these fucking biohazard suits, just in this dead fucking town. And it's effective. It really is.
Yeah,
I guess.
like I think that's the biggest thing we can walk away from this. Like older movies had more of a thrill to them. A lot of more modern horror movies are more about the hey, we're gonna like I was saying earlier, it's about the hey, we're gonna scare you by killing people and overusing jump scares. Back then, they actually took the time to direct the horror film. My understanding is the Rob Zombie films that recently came out are pretty good, but I haven't seen them. But like most of the time I hear, oh, it's a horror movie coming out. My first thought is, okay, jump scare, snuff film, whatever, don't care.
Yeah.
I like it when I don't know what's going on, because when I watched that movie, I did not know whether or not she is going to live, and I'm not going to reveal whether or not she lives. But I don't know. I really like that's one reason why I wasn't too into horror movies, though, is because like it's predictable. Yeah, crazy psychopath. Maybe one person lives, maybe, and
probably one
just not that
person
interesting.
lives.
Look, if you guys want a modern horror franchise that will have you going, what the fuck, every 10 minutes, you may not like it, but you will definitely be entertained. Look up a film franchise that came out, I want to say 2010 was the first film. It's called Feast. Those movies are fantastic, and they will blow your fucking mind. You can arguably call them art. There's certainly something. I love them. They get my full endorsement.
Hold on 1 second. So I want to backtrack to parody and satire a little bit while still staying on the horror train.
Okay.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. There's supposed to be a sequel coming out.
Rimshee or Sir, have you guys seen it?
No, I haven't.
Oh
I don't think
I've seen it. Do you guys know about the Wrong Turn movies? Or pretty much any movie where you run into crazy hillbillies in the woods and they start killing like the teenagers that are out camping?
Mm-hmm.
I know of them.
Yeah. So Tucker and Dale versus Evil is from the hillbillies' perspective. They're just out there trying to build up their summer cabin so that they can go out on vacation and go fishing and shit. And all these kids just keep running into random situations where they just start killing themselves all over the property.
And by kill themselves, we don't mean like they're just committing suicide.
They're doing stupid stuff.
Yeah. The movie is positing that the hillbillies in the film are murderers, but they're actually not. They're just going about their day-to-day life, and the kids just are convinced that they're killers, and as a result, they end up in like dumbass situations where they get themselves killed.
Okay, send me the title so I don't forget this. I've got to watch this movie. This sounds fantastic.
It's fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
it's got,
I think it's on Netflix right now.
What's his name? The famous British guy everyone loves. Not Simon Pegg. Alan Tudyk.
Well, here, let me just.
Alan Tudyk plays one of the hillbillies. For those of you who don't know,
I've got to see this now.
He's the pilot Wash from Firefly.
Yeah, and so like it's just one of those movies where just everything kind of goes wrong, and you can tell like it's really well written because you can understand how these teenagers that end up accidentally killing themselves all over the place, how they're perceiving it. Yeah. And if you actually on the DVD version, there's a special feature where it shows you from the teenager's perspective.
Yep. Yeah, it's fucking great. There's like 2 whole movies in one.
Yeah. Awesome. So, but it's just great. Like, they try to all gang up on the hillbillies while they're just trying to work on their property, and like a kid jumps into a wood chipper.
Yeah, because he lunges at one of the hillbillies, and the hillbilly's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Gets out of the way, and the kid ends up going right into the wood chipper. And the hillbilly's trying to pull him out of the wood chipper by his legs, but his friends come around the corner, and to them it looks like he's stuffing the kid in the wood chipper. The whole premise of the movie is it's not what it looks like.
Yeah. It's so good.
The whole part of the movie is that old trope of it's not what it looks like. That's the whole part of the movie. It's fucking great. And it's really not what it looks like. Oh, God.
Another thing I find interesting, and this is going back to horror films, is how certain movies can be much more terrifying if you have certain life experience.
That's true.
Like, one of my favorite examples of this is another one of my favorite movies, Poltergeist.
Okay.
Poltergeist is a good horror movie, but it is far more terrifying if you're a parent.
Oh.
Yes, I'm not going to disagree with you on that. If you are also, first time I saw Poltergeist, I still believed in like ghosts and demons and heaven, hell, all that shit. So that alone freaked me out because I had a massive fear of demons and like poltergeist type ghosts.
Well, I've actually had experiences that I can't discount. So, like, I'm not gonna say I disbelieve in ghosts or that I do believe in ghosts, but I've got enough. I have things that I can't explain outside of that.
But you know, like
at this point, at least.
That's fair.
If you're, especially like if you're a parent with young children, this movie gets disturbing on a whole other level. And I'm gonna read a quote from the movie. And if people haven't seen Poltergeist at this point, go watch fucking Poltergeist. Just do it.
You can watch Poltergeist too. That's not that bad.
Yeah, just don't watch 3. 3 was terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, like there's this character in the movie, and she's like this little old spiritual medium lady. And they call her in after, you know, like the ghosts take the daughter. And like at one point she's explaining to the parents about, you know, their daughter and how she's kind of like special. But like towards the end of her monologue, she stops and she goes, "Now hold on to yourselves. There's one more thing. A terrible presence is in there with her. So much rage, so much betrayal. I've never sensed anything like it. I don't know what hovers over this house, but it was strong enough to punch a hole into this world and take your daughter away from you. It keeps Carol Ann very close to it and away from the spectral light. It lies to her. It says things only a child can understand. It has been using her to restrain the others. To her, it simply is another child. To us, it is the beast."
Oh, okay.
And like the look on the mother's face while she's explaining that, just like that realization is horrifying.
Probably the one movie about spooky ghosts that actually scared me when I was a kid. Because weirdly, like Poltergeist was spooky; it freaked me out. Also, The Exorcist freaked me out. But the one that really fucked with me, and I can't remember what the hell it was called. This woman is haunted by a ghost that fucking rapes her.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I can't remember the name.
Yeah. Like at the end of the movie, a bunch of scientists convince her to like try to trap the ghost to study it. So they build a fake house inside a soundstage, and they draw her, or they have her as bait to draw the ghost in so they can try to study it.
I'm totally
And
watching
it's like
Tucker and Dale later today.
it's like ripping off her clothes
Yes.
and like pushing her up the wall and stuff and like it's actually beating the hell out of her. It's like she goes to work and like all of her coworkers are like, "Is it? Yes,
Are you
yes.
talking? Is the movie The Entity?
Yes.
Yes.
Like
Which
all
also came out in 1982. Man,
Yes.
1982 was a great fucking year for horror movies. The
Yeah.
Entity, Poltergeist, The Thing.
The
Yeah, like
80s in
all-
general.
Yeah.
all of her coworkers are like looking at the bruises. Is your husband beating you? She's like, I'm not married. You know, it's like, do you need help? It's like, you can't help me. And it's like, no, that's what victims always say. It's like, no, you literally can't help me because the thing that's abusing me is a fucking spirit. It's not tangible. like my little like 8-year-old mind was like, holy fuck, like you can't even talk to anyone because they'll all think you're crazy. You know, it's like that was like real horror to me when I was that one fucked with me, but yeah.
Also, real quick, I want to go back to Tucker and Dale just for
Okay,
like really quick. It's really well written, and it's believable that this like all this happens because they keep trying to do the right things.
Yeah,
they try so hard.
Yeah.
Poor guys.
Yeah. Didn't want to hurt nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wanted to play Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, I'm done. I'm done
I've had too much to drink but not enough to eat, so I'm having a hard time staying on topic right now. So wherever you guys want to take the conversation, I'm down. But I'm having a hard time.
Well, we keep going back to scary movies and horror movies.
We've only got
Apparently
two.
those had the biggest impact on all of us.
I guess so.
I feel like we're definitely losing people because aside from the four of us, assuming we all have the stream open,
there's two.
There are only two other people here watching, so I think we may have lost people.
We lost people and then we regained people.
Yeah, people are popping in and out.
Yeah, which is perfectly fine for this. This one's like this is the more serious topic. This is the one we expect less viewership on.
Yeah,
like anyone that does come in and watch, it's like I salute you for sitting through this rambling mess.
Yeah,
pretty
much.
It was
about stuff that affected us growing up, and then it just became how much we fucking love horror movies. And
I'm not necessarily the biggest.
I'm not like we're all snobs who don't like modern horror.
Okay, you know what? We are all snobs who don't like modern horror. But
I'll admit that I've got something up my ass about modern.
Well, modern horror isn't really horror for the most part. Like I said, I haven't seen. I've heard the Rob Zombie movies are pretty good, but I haven't seen them.
I've seen most of them.
Every now and then, you'll get a modern film that's like, okay, this is clearly someone that actually knows what they're doing and knows how to work with like tone.
Yeah, it's not like the 80s where there were actually okay, to be fair, I think they were pumping out a lot more in the 80s. So it was easier to get one of those. But the 80s actually had a flurry of good horror movies. But honestly,
I think the main thing that's not done well anymore is the psychological aspect.
Yeah. I don't necessarily disagree. I think if you want to go with horror these days, you've got to go more with horror video games.
Yeah.
There actually was a game. There actually was a movie. Fuck. Sorry, Addy.
No, it's alright. So look, I want to say real quick for the one person watching this, I am not a fan of a lot of and I have to put emphasis on the two words "a lot of," or three words. Sorry, a lot of. I don't like most modern horror. However, there is still good horror being made. You really got to look for it because it's usually not in theaters. It's not a summer blockbuster. It doesn't get a lot of advertising. Yeah. There what was it like when I was out in Cali, I got to go to screenings of like low budget and indie films all the time because I'm living in the city where movies are made. And I saw a lot of good stuff. I saw oh god, what the fuck? It was a trilogy. I'm pretty sure it was a trilogy. The Collector, I want to say.
The Collector wasn't bad.
Your Next was also really good.
There's a movie based around horror video games. It's called Stay Alive.
Oh god. All right.
How do you feel about that one, Addy?
Let me make sure it's the same movie I think it is.
Okay.
Because I know there was also another Stins that I did not like for various reasons. I thought it had some cool ideas, but it was just too weird for me.
Yeah.
Was that the one where they made a fake, where like in real life they made a fake GameStop cover for one? Yes, Stay Alive.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that movie.
Why do you hate that movie?
I love that movie because it's Terabad.
Yeah.
Like it's a fantastic movie to watch for entertainment value, but it's a piece of shit.
It's horrible for horror. It's fantastic for comedy.
It's a fucking.
It's one of those excellent concept movies that they just did not execute in the best way.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, you can take a mediocre movie, mediocre story, with a fantastic director and create a fantastic movie. The reverse is true too. You can take a fantastic premise, a fantastic story, and if you get the wrong director, or you can completely ruin a movie.
Yeah. I don't know, like a fucking PS2 game where if you die in the game, you die in real life. I'm not sure how you can make that not campy.
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's better than Final Destination.
Oh my god.
Let's talk about Final Destination because
I have such an issue with the Final Destination movies.
That takes me back to things that like granted Final Destination started as a film franchise when I was already but that I don't know if it was the first film. One of the films where it starts where they're at a theme park and they all die on a roller coaster.
I think that was Final Destination 3.
Yeah.
That might have been the fourth one.
When I was a kid, I did not like roller coasters because of that whole concept. And when that film finally came out, I pointed to it to my friends. I was like, this is why I don't like going on roller coasters. This is like, I know this is kind of like, this is not like statistically possible, but this is what goes through my head whenever my friends are like, let's all go on this roller coaster together. No, I'm not getting on a fucking roller coaster. I don't do theme park rides. No. But yeah, sir, you were saying something about like you had a problem with the franchise.
Okay, so like the whole thing, like beyond the fact that they're fucking ridiculous. The whole premise of the Final Destination movies, at least my opinion on the premise is that God exists in these movies, and he's a sadistic fuck.
That, or it's the entity. Well,
have you read the Bible? It's pretty true.
No, I mean like a particularly sadistic fuck. Yeah, because here's the thing: it's like
the premise. Let's just iron this out. The setting for the films, the premise of the films posits that death or God or whatever is this entity that exists, and if you cheat him, if you avoid what is meant to be your fated demise through luck or resourcefulness, he will come calling, and he will get you. And he will go out of his way to punish you and make it a particularly horrifying death because you pissed him off because you avoided what was supposed to be your death.
No. It's even worse than that. Because every single instance in these movies, it starts with one person seeing exactly what is going to happen to them. They get a fucking vision of exactly how they're going to die.
Yeah, they get like a premonition. Yeah.
And then when they don't go through with the act that they know is going to get them killed because they just saw it,
yeah,
he uses that as justification to kill them and their friends in even more horrifying and impossible ways. It's like, I'm going to show you exactly how you're going to die so you can avoid it, just so I can fuck you up worse later.
Yeah, well...
It's like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's one scene in one of the films that actually made me cry because the actress playing out her death did such a good job that it actually hurt me in my heart. It's the girl that gets killed by the nail gun.
Ooh, yeah.
She does this like squeal in her final moment of life. That's just so heartbreaking. Like, if you've ever, this might get like a little real, but like if you're like me, been to the darker parts of the internet and you've actually seen footage of people in their final moments of life, her performance is so genuine to what someone dying a horrible death and like breathing their last breath is like. It fucked me up, and it swore me off horror movies for like a good 3 years straight because like, for as campy and dumb and over the top as that actress, that like, I know horror movies and shit like that, but that actress deserves something for that performance because she nailed someone like in their like having their death rattle, and like it's all like her like vocalizing the injustice and how unfair her death is, and how like it's like her final moment of like, oh come on. It's so heartbreaking. It fucked me up. It stuck with me.
Hold on,
she's sitting there with like her
crab. It.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I need to address crab in the chat real quick. Yeah, dude, we've all been on Live Leak before.
Yeah. Oh, before Live Leak. All right, I'm going to talk about it because I don't think it is anymore. I'm not going to go into too much detail.
I'm pretty sure everyone here has seen people actually die.
There used to be a Reddit called r/watch people die, but preceding that, most of us that were very active, and by very active, I mean like we like before the advent of the dark web, we went snooping around trying to find the stuff we're not supposed to see, and we found websites like Live Leak. Well, we found websites like Live Leak, but I remember a forum that started, I want to say in 2002, and it was called ogrishforum.com. I don't know if it's still around, but it is basically, it was started by people who worked in the industry of death. So like crime scene photographers, forensic people, people that worked in morgues and had to document everything. They would leak the photos they would take and the videos they would take onto the internet through this forum called ogrishforum.com. And the actual like the tagline of the website, it was called ogrishforum.com documenting reality. And it was all the stuff that like the average person doesn't get to see. And if you're wondering, gee, Addy, that's fucked up. How did you ever come to find this place? Well, right around the time that the internet was super popular, like I know like everyone attributes it to like the early 90s with movies like Hackers and stuff like that. But the average person didn't get internet like the average person, like when like you could talk about something that you saw on the internet and people would be like, oh yeah, I saw that too. Was
That's
right around
2000s.
Was like yeah, we're talking like 99, 2001. Right before 9/11 is when most people got the internet. And I mean most people. And around this time I had just left high school. I dropped out. I got my G course around the same time that my dad threw me out of my house. I had a lot of friends in high school. Like I was kind of like a social grifter. I fit in with the jocks and the goths and the punks and all that. Like I fit in everywhere. I had friends in every clique. I also had a lot of enemies in every clique. And around the time I left school, people realized that they couldn't fuck with me in person anymore. So because I was on the yearbook committee around my last year that I was in high school, people got a hold of my email address because we gave each other our email addresses because I was the editor that laid out like the splash pages. Like you'd have like the boring pages, pictures of kids that were in each class, but then you'd have like the collages, like the scrapbook collages. I did all that shit in Photoshop. So the other people on the committee had my email address so they could send me files that I could edit in Photoshop and then send back to them. There were people on yearbook that apparently like me. And I found ogrish.forum.com because one day, like I said, kids couldn't fuck with me in person anymore because in school anymore. So I started getting really horrible emails from people. And one of them of dead babies. And I won't go into details about like what had in them, but a lot of them had the watermark ogrish.forum.com documenting reality. And I was super depressed, and I had a couple bouts with like suicide at this point. And morbid curiosity got the best of me, and I followed the URL back. You had to make an account, verify you were over 18, and then you got approved. It would take a couple days because someone actually looked at your information and manually approved your account. And I got in, and it fucked me up for a while. But what I got from it was I saw the horrible aftermath of people in the final moments of their life. And I was at the time dealing with like thoughts of suicide. I'd attempted suicide at no less than 2 times at that point. And very weirdly enough, it had a very positive effect on me because what happened was I would look at all this horrible shit and it put my life in perspective. I could see people in these horrible, horrifying, painful, excruciating, terrible final moments of their life. And it made me realize that I'm still here. I'm still here. I still have a chance to like turn shit around in my life. I like these people, like whatever they were going, it's all over. They don't get a second chance. And like I started looking at my life and be like, yeah, threw me out and I'm like homeless. I'm like sleeping on this person's couch and that person's couch. I'm in between jobs and oh, woe is me. Isn't my life terrible? Well, I could live in Brazil and get hacked to death by a gang of people with machetes. I could be working on the deck of an aircraft carrier and I'm too close to the catapult and a plane comes down and the wing clips my head. Like, yeah, like Crab just put it best. I find optimism in tragedy. I'm a very pragmatic person. I look at a horrible situation and I go, what can I glean from this? What can I learn from this? What's the perspective that I can take on this and, make me appreciate
this is also,
what I have.
We're also dipping a toe in a subject that Addie and I have been talking about on another Serious Saturday at some point. I need to get a little farther away from it before I can talk more.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine.
And we're definitely getting away from nostalgia and more towards that other subject. So perhaps it's time to reel it back.
Kind of, but this does feed back into what I was saying about things that shape me into who I am, now.
It kind of is nostalgia.
It kind of is, yeah. But my point is we're starting to get away from it. Let's tie it back in.
No, I know. You can't argue that our view count went up by.
Yeah.
Oh, that was before you started talking about that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But no,
the surprising thing is we kept that view count.
Yeah. But yeah, Crab, to answer your question, I've seen worse than snuff films, man. That's a conversation that we'll probably have on this
on another Serious Saturday.
Yeah.
Not a topic for today.
No. That's got a little heavier than I think we.
It's almost Christmas.
Yeah.
So Surge, that was a great soda.
What
are you talking about? It was like Mountain Dew on crack.
Yeah.
I still try to find people that remember Storm though.
I remember Storm. No, my number one was the because that shit would stop your heart. I remember the first migraine I ever had was because I drank too much Coca-Cola. I was like 10 years old. I was pounding jolts back to back because like you used to like I used to live.
This was abrupt.
I lived right now.
Back when they were still in the glass bottles.
Yeah, hold on. I live right now above the deli that I used to go to when I was a kid. Like I will take pictures and stuff at some point. I live in an apartment built above the deli that's just outside the trailer park that I lived with my grandmother that stole me from my parents when I was a kid.
Reference to the last one?
Yeah. I live someone's backyard across the street from me. Like you cut through their backyard and you go to the Catholic Academy that I went to as a kid when I lived with my grandmother. Like it's so fucking wild. And like when I was a kid, me and my buddy Rich, who would come over to my house all the time, we would ride our bikes down to the very deli that's now abandoned. It's going to be rebuilt at some point, according to my landlord. But we used to go to the deli that's right below my feet as I speak to buy way too much soda, way too much fucking like sugary snacks and like potato chips and shit. And we would go diagonally across the street to what used to be Video Treats, which was my local rental place, and rent all kinds of inappropriate movies. Not have been able.
Yes, kids. Back in the day, we used to have to go somewhere to rent movies.
Yes. What the fuck is a streaming service?
I remember Blockbuster.
I actually kind of miss that. It was kind of nice to just
walk
through a section.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And just be like, okay.
Yeah. Back when you didn't have the internet, you're like, what's this movie like before I go and see it? You would walk down like me and my friend Rich, we would walk through the horror section and we would base what movie we were gonna rent based on the blurb on the back and the artwork on the front.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything you did.
And we usually got burned. Because the artwork was way cooler than the bullshit that the movie actually was. But yeah. Oh my god. Oh. I could dominate the whole conversation, right? Be the only person talking. Like if I talk about the shit that like me and my friends used to do, like renting movies and stuff and riding our bikes around.
Oh yeah, when I was a teenager, there was a pizza place that opened up that was also a video rental store. And then they had like an arcade upstairs with like a pool table and a bunch of pinball machines and shit. And they had a projector up there too. So for like $1, you could get a movie and play it on the projector and hang out with your friends upstairs and play pool and whatnot. I knew the owners, and I had a deal with one of them, like, hey, when it's slow and everything, can you just give me the keys to the pool table and play pool all day, and I'll just clean up the entire upstairs at closing time. So I'd just hang out there and play pool all day and watch movies. Maybe play some pinball. It was a great time.
What about you, Rimshee or Sir? What was, like your preteens? What were they like? What did you do, like, for fun and shit like that?
I usually played video games. It was pretty bad because I got addicted to video games pretty bad. To the point where I had a game system up in my room that I somehow was able to con my parents into letting me have in my room, along with a TV that I had, a cheapo little TV. I'd be playing video games instead of doing my homework and shit. I almost didn't pass high school because of that shit.
Yeah, I did that.
Like, no joke. I ended up having to do summer school my senior year.
Shit.
Yeah. I had to do summer school my junior year, but it was more to do with the fact that I was prescribed medications that kind of fucked me up.
I never did summer school, but being Catholic as a young kid, I had Sunday school.
I had that too. That shit was fucking annoying. Like,
I remember Bible study.
You know what I never got, though? I never got catechism.
I've been through all the sacraments except for the sacrament of death or whatever that last one is.
Yeah.
And the sacrament of marriage, I think, is the other one. I don't remember.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of feel like we're starting to get to the point where we're waffling.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's been like 2.5 hours, so we can call it quits here.
No. I don't want to just cut the conversation off, but like I might be fading a bit.
It's getting about that time. I'm getting hungry and I need some.
Yeah, I definitely need
lunch.
There's some cashews that I bought that I need to go through the process of turning into butter.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So with that, thanks to everybody who has been watching, joined in late, whatever. This will be uploaded to YouTube a little bit later. YouTube.com/Lesser Discord. Follow us on Twitter, I guess. Follow me on Twitter if you want updates for when we're doing random shows at non-regular times. Also, we'll be back on. We might not be back on Friday. We're still figuring out because Christmas is this coming week.
That's right. Yeah.
Still trying to figure out schedules and whatnot.
Yeah. I'm not doing anything, so I'll be available. You guys, that's fine.
We'll talk about that after the show.
Yeah.
But if we are here, it'll be 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, like usual. All right.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Take care.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.